Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to yet another edition of Topic Time with Harrison Young. It's kind of a nice day out there. It's mid-December, December 17th. It's actually a couple of days past mid-December, but it's pretty mild out there. We had a nice little heat wave this afternoon, and I'm soaking it up. And we got a heat wave in here. I think he's soaking it up too, my guest. This is Roland. How do you say your last name?
Khorshidianzadeh.
Khorshidianzadeh. He's...
Yep.
I guess our tech Matt had all he could do to get those graphics right, but he got them right, and there they are. And he's sort of in the same line I'm in. He has his own show. He's been doing TV for a while. He's quite talented from what I've seen, and we're going to talk to him tonight and find out all about him. And so that's it. So Roland, thanks for coming in tonight, especially on such short notice.
Oh, you're welcome. It's a pleasure to be here.
It is. It's a pleasure to have you here. Now, you grew up in the same city that I did, Brockton, Mass. Great city, city of champions. And we're going to talk about all that. I want to cover your history as well as what you're doing now, because that's what I like to do with my guests. I like to do a little in-depth profile of everyone that I interview. So tell me, what was life like growing up in Brockton, Mass for you?
Oh, it was interesting. I mean, we had this city. It wasn't quite what it used to be in the old days before 1970.
Right.
But, you know, we had different programs, and school system was nice.
Well, does that mean you were around in 1970?
No.
Okay.
It wasn't as good as before 1970. I was actually born 10 years later.
Okay, 1980. Boy, I would have figured you were 79? I would have figured you at least no earlier than 1990 looking at you. Maybe even,
wow.
Yeah, you're a young looking guy.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Good for you. All right, well, what side did you grow up on?
I grew up on the east side.
Okay, I grew up on the west side, so we each talk about taking different points of view. Well, no, it's physically, not thought-wise. I suppose thought-wise it would depend, opinion-wise rather. We'll find out as we talk. But okay, so if you were born in 1990, I guess my guess is that you graduated in 2008.
Wait a
minute. Hang
79,
on.
97.
Oh, 79, right, 97. Yeah,
What
am I thinking you were born in 1990? I pulled that.
Don't worry, a lot of people make that mistake.
It's good. It's good, yeah. Okay, so what were you like as a kid? I mean, you grew up on the east side. It's kind of a working class area. Did you play a lot of sports and stuff, or what?
Oh, no. It was the exact opposite. I didn't play sports at all. When I was 6 years old, my parents took me to a baseball game, Little League, and, you know, I only went one day, and then that was it. No, I used to play with toys, and I used to make up my own stories in my head. I had these imaginary films that I'd create that I'd have me and my brother act out, so I wanted to do films ever since I was a kid.
Oh, cool. And, well, when you say did you actually have a camcorder as a kid?
I got one eventually, but not until college, so I had to rely heavily on my imagination, and I used to draw and illustrate my ideas.
Oh, great. Okay. Well, when you say draw and illustrate your ideas, is that like did you create comic strips and things like that? Or
I create illustrations.
Illustrations. I say comic strips. I mean just illustrations in general.
No, I used to draw.
Animated. Okay.
And I'd come up with stories that I'd write out in prose that would go alongside it.
Okay.
And then later on, when I was in high school and college, I'd post my ideas online to get feedback. I don't do that anymore because, you know, my ideas are more serious, so I don't want them to be copyrighted or stolen by someone else.
Plagiarized.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, what kind of prose did you say you write illustrations for prose and you create prose? Is that right?
Yes.
So, what are we talking, like science fiction, kind of, you know, fiction, drama?
I'm a huge science fiction fan.
Horror. Okay.
Though later in life, I've also discovered drama. I like thrillers. My favorite show on TV right now is Mad Men.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of that. I've never actually seen it. Is that on, what network is that on?
It's on AMC.
Oh, AMC, okay, sure. And if it's on AMC, is AMC, I mean, it's a network, but what I'm wondering is it a regular, is it like Sundance, one of those syndicated networks?
It's on, AMC is, it's not pay cable, it's kind of like premium cable.
Okay. I've seen
basically,
some of this stuff.
It's more than basic cable.
Right, I understand. It's got some of the classics on it. Mad Men is a series, right?
Yeah. Though it takes place in the 1960s, so it's set during the time period that AMC likes to promote for its films, or at least they used to. They show more modern films now.
Oh, interesting. Okay, yeah. I remember the 60s very well. I was born 20 years before you were, so I lived through all the 60s, and I remember what I remember there was a lot of great TV on in the '60s, probably more so than now. But now a lot of the syndicated stuff is from the '60s that you'll see on the classic show networks like MeTV or
Yeah, definitely.
TV Land or all, those shows, those networks or whatever, and they're fun to watch. I like Batman and.
Oh yeah, Batman's great.
Right, it is.
It's funny.
Batman, even Superman. I don't know if Superman's on as often, but Batman's on regularly. Get Smart, great spy comedy from the '60s and a little of the early '70s as well. That's good. So what were your inspirations growing up? I mean, what shows and what people as a kid? Obviously, Mad Men's kind of a new. Maybe it's about the '60s, but it's probably made lately more recently.
I like sitcoms. My favorite show was Three's Company as a kid. I used to laugh all the time. For science fiction, my influences were the original Star Trek, which was one of my favorite shows.
Right.
And Transformers, which I used to watch
too, by the way, in the syndication.
Yeah.
Right. That's all in the '60s, from '66 to '69, right?
And then there was I Dream of Jeannie, where Jeannie was Persian, and the person she was living with was an astronaut, and I love space. So Persian, I'm Iranian, half Iranian.
Oh, I was thinking that you might have been. I was going to want to ask what your nationality was, but you mentioned that you headed it off for me. You did save me the trouble. Yeah, that's interesting. I never thought Jeannie was Persian. I always thought she doesn't look Persian, but
well, no, she doesn't.
Right.
But that's what they say.
Right, but the old wives' tale about the genie in the lamp is that it's from the middle, the Arabian area, and that would include Persia, and Iran, and all those countries. Right, that is interesting. Wow. Okay. Yeah, Major Nelson was the astronaut.
Yep, that's
Larry
right.
Hagman, who just passed, and it's amazing. Barbara Eden is still going strong, and she's 80 now.
Yeah, you'd never guess it looking at her.
I know. She's a year older than my dad, actually. He'll be 80 next spring, but that is amazing. I know. And I assume that when you were writing these scripts, did you have any? Did you ever act them out as a kid? Draw any?
Oh yeah, all the time. I used to act them out.
Well, I mean, by yourself, or did you have other people helping you, neighbors and stuff, friends?
Sometimes I had people helping me, but by the time I was 12, I kind of outgrew that, so I just kept the ideas in my head from that point on.
I understand. And did you go to East Junior High?
I did.
Okay, and then Brockton High, graduated in 1997. Did you have any opportunities for these outlets at Brockton High that you want, for creating films and projects like that?
No, unfortunately. We had the TV club,
right,
but that was it.
I know we had the TV station.
But I really wanted to do film or TV series, so what I really wanted to do was go to Hollywood. And when I was 14, that's when I seriously thought I wanted to do film. And from that point on, I tried to figure out how to do it, but there weren't any opportunities in Massachusetts that I was aware of.
Yeah.
So.
Well, there are today.
Yeah, there are today. Actually, I found out about film maybe 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay.
So now I'm basically doing what I wanted to do all my life.
Great. And when you say do film, does that include just all the stuff behind the camera, editing, or what about acting as well?
Oh yeah, I'm interested in acting.
I mean, have you done any acting? Have you been in any films?
I've got a story about acting, but I'll get to that in a moment.
Sure.
With the films, I've been a script supervisor, I've been an editor, I've operated sound, I've been a regular production assistant. I Am Monroe was the first film I was involved with, and Jocelyn Padilla and Lindsay Elizabeth Court got me involved with that.
I know Jocelyn.
Yeah.
Cool.
She's great. And I was a script supervisor for I Am Monroe.
Okay.
And at one point, I was reading the other end of a phone discussion, and then Jocelyn was asking me, "Hey, Roland, have you ever thought about acting?"
Awesome.
And then maybe a week later, someone dropped out of a role, and then Jocelyn called me immediately, and then I got cast in one of the roles.
Congratulations.
And that was my first acting gig.
Did you now? Where is that actually completed? I Am Monroe.
As of this date, the filming is completed, and the film is going into post-production shortly.
Oh, it is. So it hasn't actually shown. It hasn't shown anywhere yet.
No.
Because I actually saw some of the excerpts from the trailer at the Brooklyn Tea House and Coffee and Tea House in Providence. You ever gone there for?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Film festivals. It's a pretty nice little spot on Douglas Road in Providence. Okay, so were you involved in? You were an actor in that film. But what role did you play? Just the guy on the phone?
No. I was reading the other end of the phone discussion because what we needed someone for the main actress to act off of.
Okay.
Andrea Kinch. So
basically, you were helping them run lines.
Yeah, and I decided that I was going to actually give her something to act off of.
Okay.
So I actually dove into the role. I didn't just read the lines. And that's when she noticed my acting ability.
Wow.
And Jocelyn asked me, well, have I ever had any acting experience before? And then I said, yes. I used to act out the ideas that I had. And also when I was in college, every year, we used to do... I was president of the anime club.
Cool.
So
I know what
I'm
anime is.
definitely
It's
a
Japanese,
hardcore
yeah,
geek.
Yeah. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, anime is... I interviewed a girl up in Maine who does anime, too, and it's pretty clever stuff.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
Japanese, right? It's all
Yeah, it's
Japanese.
Japanese.
Japanese animation.
And every year what we'd have is the anime awards.
Okay.
We'd have the awards, and in between we'd break it up and we'd have commercials. And we used to do skits as commercials.
That's
and I
awesome.
acted in those.
Oh, that's fantastic. And that's all. Now, was this at Bridgewater State?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Is that what you major? What did you major in? Film
Yeah, I majored in
communications?
communication studies with a concentration in mass media.
Okay. Wow. All right. So have any other film projects? Have you been involved in any other ones?
Oh, yes, I've been involved in 16 films over the past 2 years.
Let's talk about them.
Sure, I'll discuss what I can.
Sure. Whatever you can remember.
I got involved with films by Brian Casey. Have you heard of him?
He was a guest on my show.
Oh,
a couple
great,
years
great,
ago.
great.
Oh, yeah. We have a common thread with a lot of people. I'm sure of that.
Yeah, I was the editor for Alone, which was a film about a homeless woman.
Yeah, I know.
It stars Cecile
I was
Hara.
actually had a chance to be in that, but I think they cut me.
Oh,
We did the scene in Fall River, right? Did you do a scene in Fall River?
Yes.
Yeah, I was there last February 8th. Actually, it was a very, very cold afternoon.
oh, it was freezing.
Yeah, I don't know if you, maybe you were there too. Saturday, February 8th, outside in a field with snow, and it was a park bench.
I don't know. I wasn't there for that particular day. There were 4 or 5 shooting days, and I was the editor.
Okay.
I was involved with one day for the actual production, but I had work commitments the other days.
I see.
I'm also an independent videographer, but we'll
Okay.
get to that later.
Sure. So you were in that. What other films?
I was involved with Monet's Room, which was directed by Rochelle Cook. She's a young up-and-coming director.
Okay, I don't know her, but that's good.
You'll know her someday.
I hope to get her on the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
And through her, I was referred to by Jensen Denoise, who produces a show called Hero and You.
Okay,
it's
out of
another
where?
public access series.
What does he produce?
I believe it's... Well, we actually produced the show in Bridgewater.
Okay.
But it's edited in Marshfield, I believe.
Okay, probably
And-
at my old TV station.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I'm the director for the show, at least in Bridgewater.
Okay.
And then we shoot on location, and I operate the camera for that.
Awesome.
We discuss a different comic book every month, and then we discuss with other people their
You mean
lives.
Current comic books, right?
Huh?
Current comic books, not
Yeah,
old.
current
Okay.
comic books. Every comic book that we discuss has a certain theme,
Okay.
and then we relate that theme to real life.
Cool. That's awesome. When you say relate that theme to real life, the theme itself doesn't involve? I have to ask you because when you talk about comic books and you say real life, I'm wondering, are there any characters in comic books today that you know people that can relate to, or that you can relate to?
Well, for instance, one of the episodes was on motivation.
Okay.
Superheroes, they're motivated to do good.
Yep.
And then we interviewed someone who was in a hospital, and he's motivated to help people and do good. So
In a
they're
hospital,
universal
as a patient
themes.
or a doctor?
A doctor.
Okay. Cool. Wow. So it's not all humorous stuff. It's pretty serious too, right?
That's right.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes comics like Doonesbury, for instance, is a serious comic strip. In other words, some comic strips that make you laugh, but a lot of them are not today. A lot of them are for serious.
Yeah.
It's like a soap opera, and there's a different edition every. It goes from day to day, one event after another.
Yeah, absolutely. But we focus on themes that everyone can relate to because not everyone has read the comic books.
Not everyone has to write the comic books.
Not everyone has read the comic
Oh,
books.
read the comic books. That's
Yes.
cool. That makes sense. Okay. So this is a show. All right. So what other films and projects have you been involved in?
I've been involved with Steak Knives, which was
I know. I've heard of that.
directed by Chris Esper and
I know
stars
Chris. He was a
Audrey
guest on my
Noon.
show too. Okay.
Audrey Noon referred me to another group of people, and I was involved with a film called A Regular Haunt,
Okay.
and it's a kind of a pseudo-thriller,
Yep.
and that was fun to be involved with. And let's see, I was involved with Jocelyn Padilla and Lindsay Cork's other film, Amor Sangre.
Okay. Another film by them. That's interesting. I hadn't heard of that one.
Yep, it's a short film,
Right.
whereas I Am Monroe is a feature.
Right.
And do you know Court Fisk?
I know the name. I don't know him personally. It's
Okay,
a guy, right?
yeah, it's a guy.
Okay,
Yeah, he directed a film called The Signal, and I was the assistant director for that.
cool. All right. Where did they shoot that?
That was shot in Exeter, Rhode Island.
Okay. And what was it basically about?
War veteran.
Okay. Yeah, so it's serious stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty serious.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
I've done serious films. I've done comedies.
Okay.
Steak Knives was a hardcore comedy.
Right. That was Chris Esper's project.
Yeah, that's
And he's,
right.
by the way, he's in Hollywood right now.
Yeah, he is. He
He's doing
is.
pretty well, I guess.
Yeah.
Wow.
I envy him.
Well, you don't have to envy him. Just emulate him. Do what you want to. Just do what he's doing. Actually he's like 10 years younger than you are. But you know what? There's no reason based on what you're telling me, based on what you've done already, that you can't eventually create the same number of projects that'll satisfy your urge as well to be successful, and I'm sure you will. I mean, I know, I can tell. Just looking at you there, creative stuff I've seen you have on your Facebook wall looks very creative too. Mm-hmm. And now that the projects you're telling me about, that's definitely proves how creative you are. I didn't even know any of that stuff about you. All right, what other film projects?
Let's see.
You can remember.
Yeah, there's
There's
so
a
many.
lot of them. That's fine.
I was in a film called The Forger as an extra.
Okay.
John Travolta's in that film. I
Oh,
was
cool.
an extra.
Okay, that's a major film you were in.
And Bleed for This, I was recently involved with that for a day.
Right. I could have gone there myself with David Gere and Chad Verdi.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And
then
Martin Scorsese too.
Yeah, Martin Scorsese, he's attached to that film.
Right. I actually was in Shutter Island and I met Martin. He directed the scene I was in.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a history I've been in a few films myself. That's pretty awesome.
I operated sound on a film called The Nature of a Flame, which was directed by Mike Messier.
I know Mike. He was also a guest on my show.
Mm-hmm. Mike Messier happens to be my co-host on the show that I produced,
Oh,
To the
okay.
Edge.
Is that the one where you interview all the the filmmakers and
Yes,
in
it
the area?
is.
Okay, that's where I've seen you before. I didn't place it, but yeah, you guys do a great job with that. You get a lot of cool guests.
Thank you,
Oh, yeah.
thank you.
That's definitely, you guys are awesome. And of course, Mike had a really awesome role given to him by Ann Mulhall, playing Sybil Shepherd's retarded son in that film. And I don't remember the name of it.
I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah, he was great in that.
The name of the title escapes me right now, but I know what you're talking about.
Right. I mean, Sybil Shepherd, to get to work with her is a pretty big deal. And we got that when Mike was my guest a couple of years ago, we watched the DVD of that, so that was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Of his film history as well. All right, what other ones?
My mind is blanking here. Theory of Conflict. I was a script supervisor for Theory of Conflict.
Okay, whose film was that?
I forget the name of the director, which is horrible because I just mentioned the film, but Carleen Fournier is involved with that.
I know Colleen.
She's an actress in
I
that
know
and also a
she is.
producer.
She actually she auditioned me for a Brian Casey film, which I didn't get the role in. I thought I should have. It was she picked me. She auditioned me for one, and she picked me for another, and I didn't get a role in either of them.
Wow.
Well, I don't know. I played somebody. I auditioned for a guy whose kid had dealing with someone with Asperger's, and I actually have Asperger's, so I felt I should have gotten the role, but I don't make those decisions. But I have gotten some pretty cool roles myself, so sooner or later it all comes out in the wash, as they say.
Yeah.
All right.
It all evens out.
It does.
I was also involved with another film with Audrey Noon called Dinner Can Wait.
Okay.
And with Brian Casey, I'm editing his first feature film this time each year, which I was more involved with on the set.
Okay.
I was a script supervisor for that. And I was involved with his film Tribulations,
Okay.
where I operated the sound.
Awesome. So you've done a lot. You've a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff too.
Yeah, in a short amount of time.
Ever do anything with Seth Chitwood? You know him?
I do. I interviewed him on To the Edge.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
it was for his series Red Circles.
Right. What about the other one he does? The one about
Family Problems.
Yeah, I interviewed him at his house last year.
Last year, we actually did 4 episodes about family problems.
Okay.
We had 2 episodes each with 2 sets of actors.
Wow. Were you in that? Were you in any of those episodes?
I have not been, but I'd love to be involved and help out with Angelwood Pictures.
Okay, that's also Seth's project too?
Oh, Angelwood Pictures, that's the name of his company.
Oh, it is? I didn't know that. Did he just recently give it that name? Because I didn't know it was Angelwood Pictures until you just mentioned it.
Well, bear in mind that I've only known him since 2013, and back then that was the name.
Oh, it was?
So,
Okay.
as far as I know, it's always been called that, but I might be wrong.
Okay, I understand. I interviewed him on February 16, 2013 at his home in Rhode Island on a very snowy day, I might add, but it was worth going out there because we got him him and two of his stars from that, Teresa Chasone and Natasha something, Pulaski, something like that. I don't know. They were great. All right. Well, so tell me about, update me on what you're doing now. You know, or all the, you've done some stuff for Eastern Cable. You still are, right?
Yeah, I just started doing stuff for Eastern Cable.
Okay, including
ECAT,
what?
that's what they call it. That's an interesting story. First, I started off recording sports for Oliver Ames.
Okay.
I recorded soccer, hockey,
Right.
lacrosse, and I'd be recording the games for the coaches. I
That's
still
awesome.
do. And ECAT, they'd be recording the games. They'd have an announcer. They'd be recording as well for their channel.
Okay.
And one day
What's
I couldn't...
ECAP?
ECAT, Eastern Community Access Television.
Oh, I got you.
ECAT for short.
Gotcha. ECAT. Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay.
And one day I couldn't go in because I wasn't feeling well.
I understand.
So I asked them if they were covering the game, and they said yes. So then I picked up a copy of the game to deliver to the coaches. And while I was at ECAT, I was talking with them, and then they needed people to cover events. So now I do event coverage for ECAT. So it was networking.
So it worked out great for
Yeah.
you, even though you were sick.
Yeah, that's right. It was a blessing
I
in
thought you said everything
disguise.
happens for a reason. Okay. Now, when you say you cover sports, like for OA, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Just camera work, right? It's all just you run the camera?
Yeah, me operating the camera. And I want to backtrack a bit. Remember when I said I wasn't into sports at all?
Right.
It's kind of ironic that now I record sports, and that's a major part of my income. And my brother was like, how can you do that? You don't even like sports. And I said, it's simple, just follow the ball.
Exactly. But you still don't like sports?
No, I didn't say that. I said I wasn't into them. I never said I didn't like them.
Okay, I understand.
And it feels great when my team wins.
Okay.
So, you get into the spirit of it.
They're
what's
talking
going
about,
on.
when you say your team, you mean the team, the
Well,
pro
my team is Oliver Ames.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Okay,
The
that's
team
true.
that I'm recording for, that's my team.
Right, I understand. Back in 1988, I wrote for the Bridgewater Independent, and I covered BR baseball. So, when even though I live in Brockton, I was still happy when BR won, and they almost won the state championship. But I took still shots of the games. But that's pretty amazing that you can do that. Now, do you do it all by yourself and then edit footage for the coaches, or?
I don't need to edit the footage. I just record the games.
Okay.
They're on tape right now, and
Right.
I transfer them to DVD, and I just hand it in. I mean, if there's some type of flub up or a gaffe, I'll edit it, but that usually doesn't happen.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. That's amazing. And they basically have you do all as many. How about football? Have you covered football? You didn't mention football.
Football is the one that I haven't covered yet. That actually would have been through someone else. I won't get into that.
Okay.
But, I try to cover as much as I can.
Okay. No, you didn't. You haven't. You covered.
I've also recorded basketball.
Okay, yeah.
But that was for a school in Malden.
Oh, really, Malden? Was that? Now, you say you do freelance videos too, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, that's your own company.
I was an independent vendor. What happened was I used to work at a call center for 4 years.
Okay.
And that was
What's
torture.
a call center?
You know how you get a call from a telemarketer?
Oh,
that was
yeah,
me.
yes. I used to do plenty of telemarketing.
So you know what I'm talking
I
about.
do. I didn't know what they call the call centers, but yes.
Well, I wasn't actually selling anything.
Okay.
I was actually doing proxy solicitation to call people, stockholders,
Right.
and ask them if they want to vote along with the board of directors and whatever.
Okay.
And I'd record their votes over the phone. That's really boring. I don't want to talk about that.
Okay.
But I got laid off, and I had to file for unemployment. And I was thinking, what am I going to do for a job? Because I don't want to go back to that.
Right.
And then I talked to a friend, and then he got me involved with recording the sports for Oliver Ames.
Wow.
And then a real estate agent, Mark Moralia of Exit Premier Real Estate,
Yeah.
he wanted me to do ads for him, and he
Okay.
paid me as well. And then I was making so much money doing all these gigs that I realized, wait a minute, I'm making too much money for unemployment. I think I found my job.
Awesome.
And that's how I became an independent videographer.
That's incredible. So you always have work doing that?
That's right. Yep.
Wow.
I've gotten by a year and a half so far, working entirely independent.
That's amazing. That's incredible. Mm-hmm. And that's just for high school stuff, right? Well, tell me all about the projects that you cover besides sports and high school sports.
Well, like I said, I do ads for Mark Moralia, real estate ads.
Okay.
And if you're looking for a house, I definitely recommend him.
All right, hang on a second. That's fine. We can't be advertising on
Shoot.
But that's okay. That's okay. You didn't. It's all right. Don't worry about it. What I was going to ask you is, when you say you do ads, where do they appear?
Oh, YouTube.
Oh, okay. So you do
YouTube.
YouTube ads.
Yep.
Oh, that's awesome. That's fantastic. So besides, and he pays you good for that?
Yes, he
Okay.
does.
So is he the only one that pays you for ads? I mean, I'm saying...
Any project that I do, I get paid for.
Right. I understand, but all right, let me rephrase that. How many, do you have like a set number of clients that you do ads for?
He's the only one who I do the ads for right now.
Okay, but ultimately you expect to be doing more. It sounds to me like you're pretty,
Yeah.
And how many commercials have you done for him so far?
57.
Wow.
His goal is to have 57 by the end of the year.
So all in 2014?
Some of them were in 2013, but we counted that as part of the 2014 package.
So basically, it's interesting that people can actually make money advertising on YouTube. I suppose it makes sense that they could, because so many people see YouTube. Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
I also do projects for other people, like there's a nursing student, and I did a series of nursing videos for her.
Okay.
Because she's a grad student, and she had to show that she could actually be a nurse.
Wow.
And
in order to be hired as a nurse?
No, it was for a school project. She had to do a series of nursing videos, and I recorded them because she needed a videographer. I also edited wedding videos.
Okay.
I haven't actually recorded one. I've only edited them.
This is all your independent stuff.
That's correct.
You pay wow.
Yes.
All right, that is amazing. So you've done, and when did you start this independent business?
Like I said, a year and a half ago.
A year and a half ago, so early 2013.
Yep.
Okay. And this all started because you didn't feel well enough to cover something at OA.
No. I got laid off from computer share.
Doing the call center.
From the call center.
Right.
And that's when I started becoming an independent videographer.
Okay.
And because I couldn't make one of the shoots for all of our aims, I started talking with Eastern Community Access. Okay. And that's how I got involved with them. I just got involved with them. But I was an independent videographer for the past year and a half, and I still do that.
Okay, so this is independent of East. Obviously, ECAT has nothing to do with your business.
That's correct. I do multiple things.
You're multitasking. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what projects are you involved in, like right now, that are really taking off? Like, what films? You're covering sports for the school. Yep. When you cover sports for the school, that's for ECAT, right? Or is it for the school?
No, it's not for ECAT.
It's for OA. You give the put them on DVDs, give them to the coaches.
Strictly for the coaches.
And they pay you for that too, right?
Yes, that's correct.
That's unbelievable. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Wow. And do you have any people working for you, or do you just do it yourself?
All by myself.
All by yourself. Wow.
That's why I have to make everything. I cannot take days off.
I know. Well, that's good. You didn't have. I hope you're not missing a big gig for me tonight.
No.
But you also do your show with Messier too, which is totally independent of that.
I make time for everything.
Right.
I do 3 or 4 different gigs to earn income. I produce my own show, and I've been involved with 16 different films in the past 2 years.
That's incredible. Are there any films on the horizon that you're going to be involved in that you're aware of right now? I believe for this, that's current. So, are you in that now?
I did my one day, and unless I'm needed for anything else, I'm pretty much done with that.
That must have been within the last month, right?
Yes.
Was it a scene with Vinny Paz, the boxer?
Yes, it was. Well, I really don't want to discuss details.
Okay, you don't have to. That's fine.
But that was an interesting experience.
Just to say the least. I get it. Okay. Wow. Well, what about the possibility of, have you ever done a music video?
I actually have done a music video. I'm glad you brought that up.
Of course, I bring up all the stuff that my guests can talk about, so go for it.
For Alone, we had a soundtrack. There was a musician, Diane McAdam, who had a song called Hold On, and that was shot as an additional companion piece to Alone. Okay. And I edited together the footage.
Wow. Were you in the bit video too, or did you shoot it?
I was strictly post-production for that.
Post-production, okay. Diane McAdam, she's a local artist?
Yeah, in Rhode Island.
Okay, fine. Does she write her own? Is she all original material, music and stuff?
I believe so. Yes.
Okay, wouldn't mind having her on as a guest. That's how getting people on. I like to network the show, get other guests if they find that they're having a good experience. All right. Well, what about let's see. You edited stuff. You were in that major film with Travolta? Any other major films?
No, just Bleed for This and The Forger. Those are the only major films. Okay. But I like independent film.
Okay. What about, so have you ever, how many, you've produced commercials for this realtor. Has anyone else asked you to produce their commercials yet?
A few people have approached me. I'm not going to name names.
That's fine.
But they're still in the works.
Yep.
So when those come to pass, I'll discuss them at a later point.
I understand. That makes sense. Mm-hmm. Right.
Other people have approached me, yes.
Right. You're a pretty busy guy, obviously, with everything you do. So how much time a week do you think you spend between at OA let's say between OA and your business? A week, say.
Well, OA is incorporated in my business because I'm an independent vendor recording the sports for them.
Okay.
Let's see, I probably do maybe about 15 hours per week for Mark Moralia.
Wow.
I do maybe 8 hours for Oliver Ames.
Okay.
That includes recording on average about 2 games per week.
Wow.
And making the copies. That's about 8 hours total.
Okay.
And then I do my own show and I do the editing for that. And when I'm editing films, let's probably say I put in a full work week.
Okay, so a 40-hour week between all that stuff?
Roughly, yeah.
Okay, when you say your show, you mean the show with Mike, right?
Yeah, To the Edge, yes.
Where do you guys shoot that?
We shoot that in Bridgewater.
Oh, right at the school? Or not?
No, it's at BTV.
Okay,
it's right next to the university.
Yeah, it's next to the school, but it's not actually at the school.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Well, when you were a student at Bridgewater all those years ago, did you do any? Were there any projects that you covered that were pretty awesome? Did you that you presented to the school and everybody thought they were great that you didn't mention? I'm just wondering.
No. Everything that I've done has been within the last 2 or 3 years, so it's all pretty current.
Okay.
Before that, after I graduated from college,
Yeah.
I was looking to get a job in the field.
Okay.
And I had no experience, either in TV or film, so it was a catch-22.
Yeah,
I
right.
can't get a job because I don't have experience.
You can't get experience because you don't have.
Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
I understand.
So I spent 3 years like that until I finally got hired at Massasoit Community College
Oh.
as a TV radio technician.
Okay, that's awesome. How did you end up getting hired as a TV radio technician if you didn't have experience?
It's real simple. I did a lot of volunteer time for about 8 months.
Okay.
From November 2006 to July of 2007.
At Massasoit?
Yes.
Okay.
And then I got hired when a position opened up as a TV radio technician.
That's amazing. So you basically you interned there?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, wow. And what did you do at Massasoit? What kind of projects did you do there?
Well, I was involved with the various productions that they do over there. I was involved with the Radio Classics,
Okay.
where they reenact radio plays from the 40s and 50s.
Oh, that's awesome. Did you lend your voice to any of those?
No. I was behind the scenes. I was
Okay.
operating camera, or I was in the control room, whatever they needed me to be.
I know, but you say radio. This was all audio, no visual.
No,
right?
it was a stage play, and we'd record the stage plays.
Okay, so
It wasn't literally over the radio.
Okay, over the Massasoit station, right?
Yeah, we'd record them in the fine arts studio,
Right.
in the auditorium.
Okay.
And people would be reading scripts off of the vintage radio plays from the 40s and 50s.
Okay, but they would actually be acting them out on the stage, right?
That's correct,
And
yes.
you'd be recording that.
That's
on
right. Mm-hmm.
And you would give the footage to the school, is that it, to the art department or whatever?
The TV studio itself would actually record the play,
Yeah.
and then we keep it in our archives, and then we produce copies to those who requested them.
And I assume we get a lot of requests.
Yes.
Wow, that's fantastic. Like a lot of them were the actors and the people involved in the production.
Mm-hmm. And students and faculty, they'd want to produce their own shows, and I'd help out with that.
Okay.
And I eventually decided that I wanted to initiate my own show there, and that was my first public access series.
Okay, in Massasoit.
I called it On the Rise.
Okay.
And I wanted it to be a show for the students.
Okay.
So I had the show, basically everyone on the show would be under 30.
Okay.
And then it would be a place for young people to voice their opinions. And I'd come up with the topics, and I'd give them the questions, and then they'd have at it.
That's great. How many usually on the panel at once?
I'd usually have 3 to 5 people. The median was 4.
That's all. That's not bad. I mean, but that keeps you. And how long did the show go? About an hour, I'm guessing, give or take.
It was actually a half-hour show,
Okay.
and eventually I broadened it so we could have older students, so it was just college students voicing their opinion.
Okay.
And we'd have a variety of topics. We'd have pop music, the 2008 election,
Okay.
propaganda,
Yep.
any topic that I could come up with, the penal system, Obama.
Of course. Okay. So basically, it was current stuff.
Yeah.
Whether it was either fluffy stuff.
Fluff or stuff, I like that.
Thank you. Yeah, I know. I come up with these things every now.
I
and
wish
then.
I had that tagline back then.
Don't worry, we'll have don't worry about it. You can use it when you you'll do whatever you do. You're going to enhance your career, and you can use that. You have my permission. I wouldn't mind doing a show with you too. If you have anything that if you have any roles for quirky people. I'm an actor. I've been in a bunch of productions myself because of my show. I get to interview people all over New England, and I got to be in projects that they create because of it, and so that's pretty cool for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I worked at Massasoit for about 4 years.
Okay, so you're not there now, obviously.
No,
You
no,
don't
no.
have time.
After that, because of the money issue,
Right.
I had to switch to a call center because that paid better.
It did.
I had to make a pragmatic choice, unfortunately.
Okay.
And then that's when I started producing for BTV because they were open during the evening.
That's Bridgewater.
Yeah,
Okay.
Bridgewater TV.
Right.
It allowed me to continue to be part of the TV world,
Exactly.
even at the time when I couldn't be.
Yeah. Wow.
And that's how I started To The Edge.
Okay, which is what? And you've been doing To The Edge with Messier for how many years?
I started with Mike Messier in 2012, but
Okay.
I actually started To The Edge in 2011.
Okay.
When I
Did you start the show yourself?
I did.
By yourself?
The
right?
first year yes.
Okay.
The first year I did the show, I carried over the students who I had from Massasoit
Awesome.
who were part of On the Rise.
Okay.
I had the first host of On the Rise and the second host of On the Rise as co-hosts for To The Edge, but eventually I decided I wanted to go in a different direction, and I posted on New England Film that I was looking for guests.
Okay, cool.
And then Mike Messier responded, and he was big in the film industry.
Right, exactly.
And then from there, he brought on people he knew who were also involved with the film industry. And then I
Like
wanted
Katie
to be...
Solowski, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I'd love to get her on my show. I've been trying to get her on for a couple of years. Do you still see her at all?
I only saw her the one time. She was one of my first guests.
Okay.
After I revamped the show.
Right.
And then,
what do you say revamp? What do you mean? By adding Mike, right?
Well, yeah. Remember before when I had On the Rise, and that was either fluff
Well, no, because
or
I never
stuff?
saw any of these shows, but that's why I'm asking you, because I never seen On the Rise. On the Rise was probably in Bridgewater, right?
No, that was Massasoit.
Oh,
that
it was.
the
I didn't
one
see.
produced
See, I
for
didn't see that
Massasoit.
because I didn't go to Massasoit.
Right.
But if you have any copies on YouTube, I'll definitely check them out.
I had the early episodes up, but I took them down because those episodes were made many years ago,
Okay.
and it's not really relevant to today, but I could always put those episodes up again.
Maybe not a bad idea. They're in your
Yeah.
archives, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, because other people might, I definitely want to check them out. Okay.
So Mike helped bring on additional guests involved with the film industry,
Right.
and I interviewed them. And then for me, I turned the entire show To The Edge into a networking hub where I'd get to know different filmmakers.
Awesome.
And then when they were looking for people to be involved with their films,
Right.
I became involved. So through interviewing these filmmakers, I became involved with film myself, and that's how I got involved with film.
Okay, that's fantastic. Now, where did you learn to edit and use the camera, though? I mean, that's a pretty fine technique. That it's tricky and it's not an easy thing to do. What did you learn that at school?
Oh yeah, definitely. That went back to school. Like I
Okay.
said, back to high school. I took TV production when I was in high school.
You did. So that to that end, Brockton High School was very helpful for you, obviously.
Yes. And I took TV production at Massasoit and Bridgewater and all of that.
But the college courses were probably more, a little more complicated than the high school ones.
Yeah, we'd have to go on location and
Right.
shoot different things. And I took nonlinear editing at Massasoit, and that's where I
Okay.
learned to do my editing.
What do you mean by nonlinear?
Basically, what you do is you edit together film,
Yeah.
and it's on a computer,
Yep.
and that's digital editing.
Okay. Now that must be pretty. Do you use a Mac?
I have used Macs at different points. At Massasoit, I used a Mac, but I'm a PC guy.
You prefer a PC?
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. I was wondering. That's what I was getting at. I was wondering what you preferred.
I definitely prefer PCs.
Why though? What advantage does a PC have? I've only
guess
used a
it's,
Mac. I've done a little editing myself, but what advantages?
I guess it's a familiarity issue because I've been using PCs since 1991.
Okay.
So,
But how are they
there's that.
different than Macs? I mean, just if it's the little technical jargon I'm looking for because I'm not really clear.
It's just a matter of operating different software and different quirks. I'm used
Okay.
to different quirks, and though I will say I prefer Final Cut Pro to Avid.
Okay, but can you do Final Cut on a computer that's not a Mac?
No, but we have the next best thing. I use Adobe Premiere now.
Okay, Dolby.
Yes.
Okay, Dolby sounds pretty. That's Japanese made software.
I wouldn't know, but Adobe's great. so.
You say Adobe, right?
Adobe.
It's ADOBE.
Yeah.
That sounds Japanese.
It could be.
Yeah, I think
I
it
can't
is.
really say.
Right. Okay. All right. Now, when it comes to like films that you've done, how are you with special effects? What special effects have you created, if any?
I haven't created special effects myself. I mean, I've turned film that was color into black and white.
Well, that's a
and
special effect.
At one point, with lighting,
Yeah.
for one film called Origins that I was involved with, that was produced and directed by Charmaine Franklin Johnson.
Okay.
I would hold a tree branch in the background,
Yeah.
and we'd have the light, and we'd create the illusion that we're outdoors or that there's the woods, and that's kind of an effect. It's a practical effect.
I understand. No, so it wasn't computer generated.
Yeah. Or I'd help out with the lighting. Like, if it's too dark, we'd have the lights here.
Yeah.
We'd have a whiteboard here.
Okay.
And we'd shine the light onto someone.
Have you ever used a green screen?
I have used green screen.
All right, what have you done with that? I was in a music video a couple of years ago where I was dancing with a giant animated chameleon using a green screen.
Sometimes I've put in chroma key with green screen.
Okay.
For Halloween,
What is chroma key?
chroma key is a green screen effect where you insert an image behind a green screen.
Okay, that's kind
the
of what I
formal
did.
term
And I guess
for
it was like what I did that day too.
Yes.
Okay.
And green screen, at one point for Halloween, I was dressed in a Japanese gi,
Okay.
Japanese samurai outfit.
I know what that is. Yeah.
And
for
then-
self-defense courses. Yep.
In the background with the green screen, I inserted a clip from Return of the Dragon.
Okay.
So it looks like I'm in that film.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is that, you don't violate a copyright law by doing that? I suppose it's not, as long as you're not trying to sell it.
I'm not trying to sell anything, and it was just a quick screen
Sure,
grab.
sure, I understand.
And it's like, I grabbed it from VHS, so it's like really horrible quality.
Well, VHS is horrible quality. I guess, well, compared
So it
to
was
the-
second generation VHS.
Yeah, second generation. Yeah, I guess the more farther back that goes, the worse the quality is.
Yeah.
Because VHS used to be the in thing, obviously, as you may recall.
Oh, yeah. That's how I got my start with editing.
Exactly.
I edited from VCR to VCR.
Right.
It's a bit more sophisticated now.
I mean, it's probably a lot more sophisticated now. Now, what about, like, aside from, do you have any other talents? Do you act? I mean, I know you act. Do you sing, dance, play any musical instruments as well, or anything like that, or have you ever?
I was involved with chorus when I was in school for a
Which-
brief bit.
School? What school? At Brockton High?
Downey School, East Junior High. I kind of
Okay.
gave it up before high school.
Okay, well, that's something, though.
Yeah.
So obviously, you might. Have you ever done any? Have you ever, put it this way? Have you ever done any, performing on besides chorus? Any independent singing, performing?
No.
Or
I've
music-
done karaoke, but I don't know if you count that.
Well, I count it. It's something. I mean,
Yes, I've done
it's for fun.
karaoke, yeah.
Okay. Would you ever consider doing that? I mean, you must have a pretty good voice, or not?
I might consider doing a musical. I remember when I was in high school,
Yeah.
I said I wanted to do film, and they're like, "Oh, you should do radio. You have a great voice."
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, speaking of radio, what have you done in radio? Besides, I mean, you told me about the Massasoit thing, but anything else?
I took a radio production course, and that's the extent of my radio experience.
Where at Bridgewater?
It was at Massasoit.
At
So at Bridgewater, I used to visit a guy who was a DJ
Okay.
called Chris Lawrence, and he used to
I know the name.
do a classic rock show back then.
That's awesome. When you visited him, were you like part of one of his sidekicks to the show sometimes?
My brother was a sidekick. I was not. I was just hanging out.
You were hanging out, but did you say anything, or you just sat there mute the whole
Oh
time?
no, I said stuff on occasion.
All right, well, so you were part of the sidekick crew. A
Yeah,
little
I
bit. You weren't
guess.
as big as your brother was in sidekicking.
Yeah.
Now, when you say, were you actually a student at Massasoit?
I was a student at Massasoit.
For a course or something? Is that what because you
No. After Brockton High, I
Yeah.
went to Massasoit, and then after Massasoit, I had a choice between Emerson and Bridgewater, and Emerson was super expensive.
I know.
So I went to Bridgewater.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so you actually, so how much time, so on all the time that you were doing all these projects at Massasoit, you were a student there then?
No,
Or
no,
not?
this came afterwards.
Okay.
After I graduated from Bridgewater, and then after I went through that period where I couldn't find a job. I got hired at Massasoit.
So you went back to your old school. Now,
Yeah.
how long did you spend there as a student?
I went to
semester?
Massasoit for 3 years,
Oh,
and I
you
went to
did?
Bridgewater for 3 years.
Okay. Was it a bachelor? Was it like what do you call it? A program where a matriculation program where you got credit for one, where you combine credits for both schools?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Okay.
The original plan was I'd go to Emerson and I'd save money by going my freshman and sophomore year at Massasoit.
Okay.
But then I changed my mind and went to Bridgewater.
Yeah,
and-
Emerson's I mean, it's a great school, but you really have to specialize, and you have to, either unless you get a huge scholarship, you got to be really. I don't know if you know a girl named Christy Redding. You probably don't, because she's.
No.
Yeah. No, she was a guest on my show actually this year back in Marshfield, and she went to Bridgewater State, and she did about 5 or 6 years there. She did extra majors, and she was very happy because she got accepted at Emerson, and I guess she's a student there now, and she's a great actress. If you ever want to interview somebody that's really awesome, that's very talented, on your show, all she does is stage acting,
Yeah.
and you might want to look her up on Facebook.
Yeah.
She's in the area. She lives in Pembroke.
To the Edge is usually a group discussion will have like 3 to 5 people.
Right.
But sometimes I do one-on-one, and she'd be great to have.
She would, yeah. So look, yeah, I'll give you her information. You can tell her you talked to me. I went to see her. She did the play, the Drunk Chaperone. She played Janet Van Sadoff.
It sounds familiar.
Yeah, it was. I went to see it. I love to support all my guests and what they do. And that if that includes like if they're doing film and stuff or anything that I can go and see them doing hands-on. I always I do it and try to get give as much support on Facebook as I can, because I feel that they gave me the opportunity to talk to them, and I feel it's my obligation. Well, I feel it is to help them out too, because they're helping me out. All right, so so what does your schedule look like for like the start of 2015 for stuff at I mean, you're still doing On the Edge now, right?
To the Edge.
I'm sorry, To the
Yes,
Edge.
I still do To the Edge. Yep.
All right. So how many times? Like, what do you do that once a week?
No.
Couple of times a month?
I record the show in spurts. I'll record like 4 episodes at once.
Oh, you will.
And then
I see.
I'll release them on cue. I've done 45 episodes in the past 2 years.
Wow, that's a lot of episodes. Well, how many are you planning? Do you have any ones lined up for the next few weeks?
I have 5 episodes currently in post-production,
Okay.
and my goal is to launch them all out before New Year's.
Before New Year's. Okay, well that's pretty. So that means you edit them all, right?
I edit them all. Like I said, I do everything myself.
I know. So where do you do your editing? At
It depends.
home?
Sometimes I do the editing at BTV. Sometimes I do the editing from home.
Okay.
I mean, my living room is kind of like my office.
I understand. That's great. No disturbances except maybe a puppy or whatever if you have one.
I know I have no pets.
No cats. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What about now? The reason I asked you about special effects, I was wondering when you do sports, when you cover sports for OA, do you ever like do slow mo or anything like that? Something that if you see a play that looks really awesome, do you and do you ever have any people do any commentary on alongside of you when you do it?
Like I said, ECAT covers commentary.
Okay.
But occasionally I have had people who've done the commentary. Like this past fall for soccer, we had a parents' night.
Okay.
And for the boys and the girls soccer.
Yep.
And for both of those games, we had an announcer.
Okay, because I'd love to. I've done sports casting. I did a seminar in 1987 in New Jersey, and if you ever have any need for, I know I'm pretty smart when it comes to sports, and I make good comments, and I'd love to possibly. It's up to you, but if you ever need somebody to do any commentary, dramatic commentary, point out good observations, make good observations.
Yeah.
Please contact me. I'd love to do it.
Sure.
It's up to you. I mean, you got to do it as needed for what you're doing, and you have to make sure that who you're doing it for, it's okay with. You have to run it by them. That's fine. But I think I might be able to help you with that, and might give me some good experience too. And I've done sports writing. Like I said, I wrote for the Bridgewater Independent back in 1988. I covered BR baseball, and I also covered the Bay State games, which was a lot of the Bay State games. You might know is the best amateur athletes in the state competing at BC during the summer. I don't know if they still do it now, but I got in fact, Nick Palantis, I don't know if you know Nick Palantis, but he's the
Name sounds familiar.
Okay, well, it should sound familiar because he's the AD at Massasoit, athletic director. I know you weren't involved in athletics there, but I'm saying but you obviously didn't cover sports at Massasoit as well as, because if you did, you would know Nick, because he'd be the one you'd be covering him for. He's been the AD there for at least 25 years, I think.
Wow.
At least. He covered for longer than that. He's won some NCAA soccer championships, Division II, as the coach. And I went to school with him. He was a year older. He was a year ahead of me at school. So I know. I mean, I've known Nick and I go back to junior high school. When we both went to West, and you went to East, so you know where West is. Opposite side of the city from where you grew up. All right. So what about So you're doing that. You got all those things lined up at OA. Would you ever think of starting like you're doing your own reality show, like having somebody like profile you, in action?
I haven't thought about that, but I do have my own productions in mind.
Okay. For that, you'd need other people to help you, though. You couldn't do it by yourself.
Exactly. That's why I've gotten involved with so many films, so I can get to know people. So when the time comes to launch my own projects, I know who to call.
Right. Exactly. And it sounds like you get a lot of people that are potentially on board with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Everyone I've told my ideas to, they like a lot.
Yeah.
And one of the ideas I have is for a show called It Happened Online, and it's about all the crazy things that can happen online.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. And how would you go about formatting that?
I would format that as a web series.
Okay.
And then eventually, when I get enough episodes, I have the whole story arc plotted out.
Okay.
I would air it as a film.
I see. Well, I mean, but when I say formatted, I mean, how would you actually go? Would you actually approach people and survey crazy things that have happened online, or ask people to call?
I've done that. I've asked
have?
people about the crazy things that have happened online.
Okay.
And I've collaborated with some people, and that's how I mapped out my ideas.
Okay, so you've already got a lot of produce for that material, I should say.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, that's great. Okay. And when you say crazy things online, does that, I mean, some of those things might not be cool. I mean, like people getting hit on online, like underage kids or whatever, people, like predators or whatever. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Okay, so
people pretending to be things that they're not.
I understand, and it's pretty, so it can get pretty dramatic.
Yeah.
But it would certainly be entertaining, to say the least. Wow. Okay. And what about some of the things? Do you ever take anything like that you see on Facebook, which is because Facebook itself is can be pretty bizarre at times. Some of the things that are posted.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm not talking about one-on-one. I'm talking about just some of the things that get posted on all of our walls. And I'm sure you know what I mean.
Yep.
Right. I mean, do you use any of that stuff as well? I mean, some of the things, some of the links that you see. Would you ever take a link on Facebook and say, this is the strangest thing? I mean, just, like today I saw a girl, I don't think it's that big a deal, but there was a girl who was doing animal impersonations. I don't know if that would qualify for you, but it was something I just happened to see.
If I were to incorporate anything, I would base it on things that might have happened, but I wouldn't literally have it be those things. I'd change it around.
You would?
Because I don't want people watching that and saying, hey, wait a minute, that was what went on with me.
Okay.
And if I was basing it
might
on
get sued,
anyone,
you'd be worried about,
it would be
right?
defamation of character.
True. Okay, yeah, that's cool.
I have to change things.
Cover your butt. I understand.
You remember Dragnet, right?
Of course.
The names have been
the other
changed
day.
to protect the
Exactly.
innocent.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Jeff Friday.
Okay. Hey, that sounds like a pretty good idea. What about the idea of, would you ever consider doing a special on police work, like cops?
That would actually be interesting because I
Yeah.
have friends who are ex-military or in the police force.
Right.
I have friends who are prison guards, and
There you go.
I mean, I know a lot of people like that.
There you go. So I'm saying these are ties that I'm always trying to give my guests ideas that could help them down the line. And it sounds to me like that'd be pretty wild, even just in the area. I mean, Brockton alone has plenty of stuff going on with the cops. I don't know if you want.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of trying not to talk about when you were asking me, how was Brockton growing up? Because Brockton now is a lot better than it was when I was growing up in the 80s and 90s.
Better now?
It is
I know
better
what
now.
you're saying, yeah, because in the early 90s we did have a problem. Well, as a matter of fact, I happen to have gone to school, high school and junior high school with several of the police officers on the force.
Yeah.
And I know that in the early 90s, a lot of them did get laid off because of the budget acts we had going on, hitting us pretty hard.
It was bad. You'd see graffiti everywhere.
I know, you'd see crime on the west side, which is unusual because the west side
Yeah.
is you're not supposed to have any crime there.
That's why I kind of hesitated when you were asking me, well, how was Brockton when you were growing up? It's like, what am I supposed to say here?
Well, it's okay. I mean, that's right, because you were about 11 when all that was going down.
Yeah.
Right.
And I heard that before I was born, like over 10 years before I was born and beyond, Brockton used to be this lovely, beautiful city.
Well, the truth is, with Brockton, part of it was nice. But like today, there are parts of it that are nice now, and there are parts of it that are crappy. I mean, it's just like but there are a lot of people that are trying to better it. I mean, the guy that's the Downtown Business Association president is someone I went to school with since elementary school. John Marion, he owns a tux business downtown, and I admire what people are trying to do for Brockton, even though. And I've lived there my whole life, and we're talking 55 years, so I've been around a while. And I'll probably never leave Brockton. I mean, I'm always talking about going somewhere else, but my parents are there. They'll always be there. So, I mean, but the point is, even if but for your benefits, it might help to cover, Brockton or what police work, what goes on.
And
even
that might
if
be
it
a good
isn't
idea.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say that I think that Bill Carpenter has done a fantastic job with Brockton thus far.
Are you still living in Brockton
I've seen the
now or
improvements.
not? You don't have to. If you're not living in Brockton, you don't have to say where you're living. But that's up to you.
I live in Brockton. I lived in Bridgewater for a while, but now I live in Brockton again.
You do? You live in Brockton? Okay. Yeah, Bill Carpenter. I know Bill from years ago. He had a radio show at WMSX back in 1992, and I was part of that deal too. I was doing some stuff. I was running the board for some shows there.
No, I was going to
say, go ahead. Say what you were going to say.
After I graduated from from Bridgewater State College.
Yep.
I started volunteering at Brockton Community Access.
Okay.
That was another
As
venue
did
where
I,
I gained
a little
experience.
before you did, probably.
And
Right, okay.
I was helping out on a show called All Around the Town, which was hosted by George Cataldo.
Okay, I know George.
We'd interview people all across Brockton about the different programs that they had going on.
Yep.
So I've seen what's available in Brockton, and it is a great town if you look deep enough.
Okay, remember, it's a city, not a town.
We call it All Around the Town because
I know,
it sounded better than All Around the City.
I've never seen that show, but I've seen some of the other.
It was a good show.
Yeah. I was part of the news show they had, and that was really cool. Did you ever do anything with Ron Van Dam?
No.
You know who he is, right?
His name sounds familiar, yes.
Okay, well, he had that show. He had a show for 20 years on Brockton Cable. Sometimes he still probably goes back and does some stuff.
Wait, I think I actually do know who you're
Yeah,
talking about.
he has a Van Gogh mustache.
I know who you're talking about.
Right.
Yep.
Right. He had a show, a comedy show. He had a lot of cool guests. And I used to see him every day. And something he did have a radio show at BXR, but that one, or BRX or whatever. But that's gone now. The old radio station. So, but it sounds to me like you could probably do a lot of stuff that you could show on these cable stations in Brockton and other towns as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've produced about 70 episodes of public access TV to date.
That's a lot of episodes.
Yeah. Well, not as much as you, but it's up there.
Well, I don't know about. Well, I know, but you've got. But a lot of people know who you are, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously, probably. Well, I'm hoping I get a lot of hits on the YouTube page, and hopefully the show will. I expect it will. But that's how you get well known. You get hits on YouTube, and then more people know who you are. And I get a lot of people come on as guests because they've heard it from other people about it.
It's all about word of mouth.
Exactly.
And then eventually I got my own guests on To The Edge who didn't even know Mike or weren't connected to him, and they're like seeking me out and they're like, Roland, can I be on your show?
There you go.
So
I'll be happy to be on your show if you want, if you can stand it.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd love to have you on as a guest.
Awesome, yeah. Then you could make up the questions. You could decide whether you're going to write them down and wing it. I always wing it, like I said, like we discussed on Facebook the other day.
Yep.
But I hope that works for you. I hope that we've covered a lot of stuff today.
Don't tell anybody this,
Yeah.
but I usually wing it onto the edge. Oh, wait, I just said that out loud.
Well, it's okay. There's nothing
Yeah.
wrong. Winging it's good, because why would you want to, if you can, I mean, it's a talent to be able to do it. And it's something you have to work at. You have to develop it.
You know, it's great afterwards. People are like, wow, you're really good. That's great. I can't believe that. That came out great. And I was like thinking, yep, I was totally winging it.
Okay.
I had to deliver a speech at my brother's wedding.
Yeah.
And I wrote down the entire script.
Yeah.
And then I didn't have the script with me. So I had to wing that. And then everyone was talking about how professional it sounded. And everyone laughed. They're like, wow, Roland, that speech is great. And they still talk to me about that to this day.
Well, there you go. Well, guess what? We have about a minute left. We made the hour go by pretty fast.
Yeah.
So I hope you had a good time and that we covered all the stuff that pretty much from A to Z with Roland. And I'd love, again, if you have any of those opportunities, any people that you want to give any shouts out to people that are going to see the show, and anyone you can think of that might be good, you might want to come on my show. I'd love you to recommend me. It's up to you, but.
Oh, sure. I got some people to mention. Stacey Forbes Iwaniki, who's
she was a guest on my show.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, she's a huge fan of
Stacey Iwaniki. Cool.
Yeah. And who else do I want to give a shout out to? Jeff Fowler, the station manager at BTV.
Okay.
And Maria Nadapov.
Oh, I know Maria. I worked with her in a web series called Just Another Day. And I interviewed her too.
Yeah. And Jensen Denoise, who I probably already mentioned earlier, and Maritza Barros, who's his co-host.
Okay. All right. Well, we got about 30 seconds left. So mention one or two more, and then I got to do the chair dance again and finish up.
All right. Anthony Demings, who is part of Rhodywood.
Okay.
And he's a great guy. And I think I'll stop right there.
Okay. Good enough. Well, thanks for being my guest. And I'm going to do the chair dance. Enjoy topic time. See you later. Have a good one.